Since March 2025, I've released retrospectives on some extreme sports and racing games that helped define the late 90s, 2000s, and early 2010s. This time around, I want to shine a spotlight on some of the studios behind the games, the ones that brought them to life. Some are still around, a few have merged into bigger teams, and a few are sadly gone for good. My name is OneHip, and thanks for clicking on this video. I genuinely appreciate the positive responses to my Neversoft and EA Black Box videos, and it's been awesome reading about your memories with their games in the comments. The next installment in my developer series is about a studio that didn't actually start out as one. From humble beginnings as a 3D imaging software company, to creating game-changing technology, and eventually redefining the arcade racing genre, Criterion Games were true pioneers of their time. This is their story. Criterion Software was founded in January 1996 in Guildford, England, as a subsidiary of Canon, the Japanese company known for its optical and imaging products. Its founders were David Lau-Key, a computer scientist, and Adam Billiard, a game developer. Lau-Key was also the leader of Canon's European research arm and assumed the role of Criterion's managing director. Billiard became chief technology officer. 3 years earlier, Lau-Key had been working on 2D image processing techniques and was looking to enter the realm of 3D imaging, aiming to develop tools that could render real-time 3D graphics for commercial use. By 1993, Lau-Key and his team created RenderWare, a 3D texture mapping and rendering program. And by late 1996, the same year Criterion was founded, over 800 companies had adopted the technology. To help developers experiment with the software, Criterion released a tech demo called Cyber Street, showcasing what RenderWare was capable of. Around the same time, competitor Argonaut Software were developing their own full games to showcase their B-render technology. Criterion responded by hiring new staff to establish a dedicated game development division named Criterion Studios. Their first release was 1996's Scorched Planet, a vehicular combat game released on PC, which received mixed reviews upon release. The game was later adapted for arcade machines. 1997 was a busy year for the fledgling studio, with the release of other PC games, including Speedboat Attack, another vehicular combat game receiving mixed reviews, and Subculture, an action-adventure game set in a submarine, with a more positive critical response. Criterion would continue creating vehicle-based games, with 1998's Red Line Racer, known as Suzuki Alstair Extreme Racing in Europe, for the PC, Dreamcast, and Game Boy Color, with the general consensus from critics being that this was an average racing game. In 1999, Criterion would mix racing with hoverboarding, with Dreamcast and PC game Trick Style, published by Acclaim Entertainment. A port was added to the PlayStation 2, but it was never commercially released. Like many earlier Criterion titles, Trick Style received mixed reviews, with praise for its graphics and criticism for its track design, AI opponents, and difficulty. In 2000, Criterion would develop another game set in a submarine, this time a simulator called Deep Fighter, which featured FMV cutscenes with actors such as a young David Walliams. Though critical reception was mixed across these titles, each project sharpened Criterion's understanding of things like speed, physics, and rendering. When the team released a fully retooled version of their engine in 2000, RenderWare 3, it finally gave them the tools to build complete 3D games from the ground up. Their first would redefine what arcade racing could be. Burnout was released in November 2001 on PlayStation 2, followed by GameCube and Xbox in mid-2002. Development had begun at least 2 years prior, running alongside the development of RenderWare, and it was published by Acclaim. Burnout received favourable reviews from critics, with praise going towards its performance and visuals, though some saw Burnout more as a tech demo than full-fledged racing game. In that same year, Airblade, Trick Style's spiritual successor, was released in November 2001, with gameplay reminiscent of Tony Hawk titles. Despite this comparison, Airblade received mixed reviews from critics. Praise went to the controls and graphics, with IGN claiming that Airblade was, and I quote, a brilliant advertisement for the RenderWare graphics engine, while criticism went to the game's punishing time limits. The next Burnout sequel, Burnout 2: Point of Impact, was released in October 2002 on PlayStation 2 and mid-2003 on other platforms. Like its predecessor, the sequel was met with strong reviews, with critics praising its sense of speed, graphics, and the new crash mode, a feature that would define the series moving forward. Around this time, Criterion Studios officially became Criterion Games, and both Burnout titles sold a total of around 2 million units worldwide, though poor sales in the United States due to Acclaim's financial issues held it back from wider success. Acclaim themselves would file for bankruptcy in 2004. Without a publisher to release their next Burnout game, Electronic Arts, who frequently approached Criterion for years, stepped in, setting the stage for one of the most defining races of all time. Thank you for still being here with me. I've done retrospectives on many games featured in this video, including all of the mainline Burnout games for consoles developed by Criterion. If you want to see those as well as other videos like this one, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, back to the video. By 2004, RenderWare 3 had made a significant impact in the gaming industry. It provided a versatile and powerful engine capable of rendering sharp 3D graphics, particularly on the PlayStation 2. It also helped lower the technical barriers for entry into game development, and many of the era's successful franchises, such as Grand Theft Auto, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Persona, and Mortal Kombat, were built on it. But like many great things, that era came to an end when EA purchased Criterion Games on the 19th of October 2004 for roughly $68 million US, over $183 million when adjusted for inflation. David Lau Key became Criterion's CEO, and Adam Billiard was assigned as Chief Technical Officer for EA Tech. Although EA continued licensing RenderWare to third parties, some studios backed away due to risks associated with using technology owned by a competitor. EA would eventually remove RenderWare from the commercial market, keeping it as internal tech for their own titles. In that same year, EA and Criterion released what is considered to be not just one of the greatest arcade races, but arguably one of the greatest video games of all time, Burnout 3: Takedown. Released on PlayStation 2 and Xbox in early September 2004, Takedown received critical acclaim, with praise going to its more aggressive style thanks to the introduction of takedowns, its improved crash mode, and its visuals. Criterion followed up with Burnout Legends in 2005, marking their first return to handheld gaming in 7 years. The PSP version received a positive response, while the Nintendo DS version was panned for its poor visuals and gameplay. Around the same time, EA released Burnout Revenge in September of that year for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox, later ported to the Xbox 360 in March 2006. Like Takedown, Revenge was praised for its breakneck pace, expanded crash mode, and the addition of new features such as showdowns and traffic checking. The 360 version would even be awarded Racing Game of the Year at the 10th Annual Interactive Achievement Awards, now known as the DICE Awards. 2006 was a landmark year for Criterion. In late February, the studio would release Black, an influential first-person shooter that pushed console hardware to its limits on PlayStation 2 and Xbox to mostly positive reviews. Praise went to Black's gameplay, sound design, destructible elements, action movie-inspired sequences, and visual fidelity, but its short campaign and lack of multiplayer drew criticism. In mid-2006, Criterion closed its satellite office based in Derby, making all its staff redundant. A new headquarters was created in central Guildford, combining Criterion staff with EA's UK development studio, EA Brightlight. The relocation was completed in early March 2007, though both studios would work independently. Both original Criterion founders would leave EA that same year, and EA Brightlight would eventually close in 2011. The final mainline Burnout game would be released exclusively on 7th gen consoles, this time with an open world setting. Burnout Paradise released in late January 2008 to overwhelmingly positive reception, with praise for its free-flowing and ambitious open world, Paradise City, and the game's strong sense of speed. Paradise was also notable for the inclusion of motorcycles with their own events. A special edition called the Ultimate Box followed in February 2009, and a remastered edition would be released in 2018, with all downloadable content included. Criterion's next project would steer them towards another racing franchise, one known for speed, but with far less chaos. Around this time, RenderWare 4, the next generation of Criterion's proprietary engine, was dissolved due to the emergence of more advanced technology such as Epic Games' Unreal Engine. This shift marked the end of Criterion's era as both a developer and technology provider. From their next project on, Criterion's focus was purely creative, and their technical legacy lived on inside EA's own framework. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, a reboot of 1998's Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 3, was released in November 2010, built on a new engine named Chameleon. It received positive reviews and numerous industry awards. Praise went to Hot Pursuit's presentation, tracks, and the new auto-log feature that would be carried forward into some later Need for Speed titles. Criterion would receive EA's approval to release another Need for Speed revival in 2012. Burnout Crash, the final Burnout game developed by Criterion, was released as a downloadable title for the PlayStation Network, Xbox Live Arcade, and iTunes App Store in September 2011. The game focused entirely on Burnout's signature crash mechanics, incorporating the auto-log system for features such as online leaderboards. Crash would receive mixed reviews upon release. At E3 2012, Criterion would announce that they had taken sole ownership of the Need for Speed franchise, bolstering their creative direction after the discontinuation of RenderWare. Need for Speed Most Wanted, an open-world reimagining of the iconic 2005 title, was released across several platforms. A Wii U exclusive, Need for Speed Most Wanted U, would be released a year later. The game would blend the styles of previous Burnout and Need for Speed games in an open-world city called Fairhaven, and it received positive reviews from critics. Praise went to the variety of vehicles, its social features, and the return of Autolog, with criticism going to its poorly designed single-player mode. Most Wanted 2012 would also be the last game in the franchise to have Criterion as the lead studio for nearly a decade. In 2013, it was announced by EA that Criterion would move away from developing racing games, and instead focus on other genres for future projects. They would assign Criterion to be an assistant team for other EA-owned studios, such as DICE and Ghost Games. And later that year, Criterion elected to cut its employee headcount to just 17. This was due to the fact that 70 Criterion staff, or 80% of their workforce, had already moved over to Ghost Games to assist with future Need for Speed titles. Between 2013 and 2021, Criterion would assist in the development of Need for Speed titles, including Need for Speed Rivals, which was a collaboration with Ghost Games, the series reboot Need for Speed, and Need for Speed Heat. Criterion also provided assistance for other EA games, including Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, and Battlefield 2042. Their only lead game in that time was a 2016 VR game called Star Wars Battlefront Rogue One X-Wing VR Mission for PlayStation 4. Criterion was named by GamesIndustry.biz as among one of the best mid-sized UK video game companies to work in, being listed for 3 consecutive years between 2017 and 2019. Like EA Black Box, who I covered in a previous video, Criterion had also been absorbed into the wider EA machine. But despite their new supporting role, the studio would once again be given the keys to one of EA's longest-running franchises. Criterion would return to the Need for Speed franchise with Need for Speed Unbound, released on December 2nd, 2022 on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC to generally positive reviews. Unbound's customization options, art style and gameplay were praised, but its lack of innovation and story were criticized. As of this video's recording, this is the latest standalone game developed by Criterion. Their latest credit is a collaboration with DICE, Ripple Effect Studios, and Motive Studios for 2025's Battlefield 6. And unlike other studios that I've covered in other videos, Criterion are still operating under EA as of today. Criterion's story is one of adaptation, innovation, and resilience. What began as a small imaging software company in Guildford evolved into one of the most important developers of the early 2000s. A studio that not only pushed hardware limits, but helped define what fast, cinematic, and technically ambitious games could do. RenderWare became the invisible backbone of an entire generation, powering franchises that shaped gaming culture. And Burnout wasn't just about speed or destruction. It was also about energy, spectacle, and the joy of taking risks. Even as the industry changed around them, Criterion's DNA remained. Whether they were leading Need for Speed, building vehicle systems for Battlefield, or experimenting with VR, their influence is still felt across modern gaming. They may no longer be the independent powerhouse that once shocked the world with Takedown and Paradise, but their legacy lives on in every crash, every drift, and every perfectly timed boost that gets your heart going. In an era where few studios survive the corporate shuffle, Criterion's ability to evolve while staying true to their identity is a very rare thing. Their story isn't just about racing, it's about endurance. And if you work for, or have ever worked for Criterion and you're watching this, thank you for giving us some incredible memories with your games. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. This video is part 3 of a new series where I spotlight the developers behind the games we grew up with. If you want to see more, I've got retrospectives on all of the Criterion developed Burnout console games, as well as retrospectives on other classic titles. You can also watch my other developer videos on studios like Neversoft and EA Black Box. If you enjoyed this one, give the video a like, and subscribe to watch more videos like this. Big thanks to my current channel members. Your extra support means a lot. There are links in the description for channel memberships if you want some cool perks like early access to videos and your name in the end credits, as well as a link to my Ko-fi page if you want to make a one-off or monthly donation to the channel. My name is OneHip, and you have a good one. Bye!